How are you finding it? Like, even with what you're doing, I'm sure it's getting a lot of notice. Are you seeing that a lot of developers are starting to take inspiration?
That's one way to put it. Sometimes I get upset when people send us projects and be like, you fucking didn't tell us about this. Like, I told you when you release the next project, I want to be involved, and it's somebody else's project.
Oh.
And that's how closely they're appearing, be it intentionally or unintentionally. We just got to continue innovating. And we're very lucky that our industry is moving quite rapidly. You know, the e-commerce space and the digital marketing space, they are very, very young industries. So to be opening up to new markets, whether it's financial planners or all these different professional services, cosmetic injectables, you know, it's allowing us to continue innovating. The whole industry at the moment, we're pioneering it and they're following what we're doing, and they'll continue to do that. If we're as good as we think we are, we just got to continue to stay ahead of them. At the end of the day, I'm passionate about what we're delivering and why we're delivering it. So if other developers are doing their best to deliver that alongside us, ultimately for the end consumer, it is the right thing and it is the best thing. And I'll be glad for it because I think the consumer deserves it.
Oscar Ledlin, founder of Ledlin Developments and Let's G Up, co-founder. Mate, thank you for joining me. I'm so happy that you're here with me because like I've been watching your journey, and as always, you're inspiring, and this has just like got me really excited because I really want to try one of those. But I forgot my bloody hat, man. The first episode of my hand, I actually worked out what happened. So I had like 5 things in my hands while I was coming here. I threw stuff in my car to leave, and one of them was the bloody hat. And then I was on the phones, I was lost my bloody mind, and that's all right. I got you here now.
You're here, mate. You look fine. With a hairline like that, you don't need a hat.
It's still going to be an amazing episode, but
It is. Thanks for having me.
Mate, how are you?
I'm good, bro. It's always good to catch up, always good to chat.
Mate, what's been happening?
A lot, to be honest, since we last caught up. But I think G-Up's probably the most recent outcome since we've spoken, and you've probably seen a little bit online about what we've been up to there. So that's keeping me very busy and very excited. New industry, new environment with new business partners, and just learning a lot and having a bit of fun along the way.
Mate, how are you finding like just jumping into this new industry with your mates, and even just like where were you guys at? Maribyrnong? You were at
Mildura,
and we were at some other.
Oh, where we launched. Sorry.
No, the Bottleos.
The Bottleos, Keilor and Langwarrin.
Langwarrin, that's right. What was going on there?
Yeah, so Langwarrin's where Troy grew up.
Okay.
And Troy obviously was the mastermind behind the drink. So we just thought it would be nice. He's obviously living up on the Gold Coast now, but he thought come back to where he started and launch in his hometown. So it was really cool to see. He had, you know, old mates from school that showed up to support him, people that he hadn't spoken to in 10, 15 years, and just a lot of Langwarrin locals. It was people that came from afar, but it was just really cool to see him go back there and see the community to support him, and yeah, it was a great success.
It was bloody carnage in there. Everyone was just trying to grab bottles.
Yeah, we sold out in about half an hour, which was really cool, and there was crowds of people, and we had a DJ and a few of the boys had the cars on display and stuff, so it was a bit of fun, but I think it was a real insight into where this business is going. I've got big ambitions and high hopes for a lot of the stuff that I do, and G-Up's no different. I think that we're going to have a bit of fun along the way, but I think it's going to be big business before long. What's
the story with it? So I think I read that Troy was supposed to launch this a couple of years ago, and then he put it on the back burner, and then
So the idea behind the business and what has become the business mission is Troy and all us boys, we're not beer drinkers. We've tried, but for me, I don't know, I haven't got a taste for beer. I've given it a really good crack, I promise. I've tried every different beer, and I've tried to, I remember trying coffee and not liking it, but I persisted and I ended up liking it. It didn't happen with beer. And the boys are much the same. So we've been drinking, pre-mixed vodkas forever, and there was a lot of stigma around that early days with lolly water and chicks drinks and stuff, and the
cruises,
the availabilities on the market, they just weren't innovating.
Yeah.
So Troy was like, listen, I think I can make a drink that, at the very least we can all drink, and we're like, awesome, like, you'll kill it, go for it. And he was pursuing it for about 18 months, and he ended up saying, guys, like, I've been giving this a good hard crack. He had a lot of stuff going on. He's got a lot of business ventures, active. And he was like, I'm gonna probably chuck the towel in on this. And it was actually my birthday almost 2 years ago when he said that. We'd all had a few vodkas by that time. He said he was giving it away, and we said, no, you're fucking not. We'll give you a hand. He's like, oh, if you're going to help me, we might as well do it legit. We'll go into business. And we said then and there, it must have been early hours of the morning of my birthday, and we decided that we would start the business together. We would get involved, and it took another nearly 2 years from there to the point that we launched. Like you mentioned, brand new industry. None of us had any idea what we were doing. So there was a good learning period before we actually traded and did anything in the business. But the drink, it's a premixed vodka. We have sugar-free variants, and then our traditional flavors, they have less sugar than any other RTD on the market as standard. So even our sugar version has a reduced sugar content. We've pulled as many of the nasties out of it as we can, and we've added electrolytes. So the guys involved in the business were all very active with what we're doing, whether it's the guys with their kids, or we're all involved in a lot of businesses. So we don't have time for hangovers. So we thought, let's make a drink that is as less harsh on the body, as friendly on the body as we can, and that's what we come up with.
Nice, man. Nice. What flavors are there? So
this is great.
Yeah, give me. Mate, I've been wanting to try this one because grape is my bloody favourite. Let's give it a go. My hands are bloody.
Honest feedback. If it's not good, we'll just cut. No.
I like it. It's
nice,
like,
isn't it?
It's got like what is it? What's the gum like?
Hubba Bubba.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bloody hell!
Yeah.
It's exactly like that. It's insane.
Even the smell.
It's got like a little. You can taste like the it's got like that strong at the start, but at least you know it's got fucking vodka in there. Or what is it?
Yeah. It's definitely.
Mate, this is actually really insane. What's your favorite?
My favorite's the grape or the raspberry. Yeah.
Honestly, you guys are not bloody bad.
Yeah.
And so obviously it's taken a couple of years. How's that whole process been? Like, have you guys just been getting there, getting blind, trying them?
I mean, there's definitely been some testing involved, but the first part of the business was.
Oh my God, they're bloody sick.
Do you want one?
Yeah, try on. They're bloody mad.
I'll go for it.
Yeah.
I want your feedback too. The first part of the business was really just getting a lay of the land of the industry, and then trying to figure out where we fit into that. And
What do you reckon?
Mickey.
Yeah, they're mad.
Yeah. It's the salts. It's something that just, I don't know, it takes the sting out of it, and it's like drinking a Gatorade. You can just drink it all
literally.
day. Yeah.
It gets you at the start, and like you can taste the alcohol, and then bang.
I don't love the strong alcohol kind of flavour.
No,
So
either
it's
do I.
smooth.
Yeah, they are. They're dangerously delicious. So, but yeah, the first part of it was figuring out the lay of the land of the industry, and then where we want to sit within that. So, we really want a business that, or a product that brings people together, and that was a big part of this, the mission of this drink. It's a very social drink. It's for events and with the boys or the girls or whatever it is, but it's designed to be drunk together in spirited occasions, and this is what we come up with. So, 18 months from when we decided we're doing this. At the start, it was the boys were like, chuck a bit of money in and make something for ourselves, and then pretty quickly it gained momentum, and we were like, all right, let's reconsider how we're doing this. Like this can be a big business. Do we want to give it a good crack? And we all agreed we did. So we kicked off from there, and 18 months later we hit the market.
I love the name. Like, I'm always just like G up, like it's just such an Aussie thing. Like,
it is, yeah. And that's the mission of the business. Like, and it was something Troy would always say. He's like, boys, let's G up. Like we're about to go out. Someone's a bit tired or whatever. It's like, come on, it's time to G up. So that was where the name came from, and I think it goes really well. And interested to see how it kicks off from here.
You look like what's been going on with Logan Paul's Prime, or like The Rock's drink, or Conor McGregor or something like that. Like how bringing in a sense influences together.
100%. Influencer-backed brands.
To do something, and already obviously Troy's got that backing. Your group, you guys, you got Adrian Portelli involved now as well. It's just such a good such a good mix of people together. and on top of that, like you guys are all like best mates, so it's like it just gives it that more authentic vibe. That's just
Yeah,
man.
and that's it. You know, I feel like we're in an industry. You know, RTDs are trending upwards because more and more young alcohol drinkers don't like the taste of beer. So
Yeah.
we're in a good market. I think we nailed the product, to be honest. Like it tastes good, it presents well, and with the added electrolytes, like when you give these things a good nudge, like they have a real point of difference when you're waking up the next morning. So I think the product's right, and now we've put together a team, you know, a very diverse team of guys who have some serious business experience and plenty of money behind them. So obviously we need a few things to go our way, but I've got high hopes for this one.
What's it like? So like this 5 years like together now, trying to make decisions on things. Like how does it work?
No, we've had 18 months to hash that out, and to be honest, like early days, putting 5 mates in a room and trying to run a business, it was exactly how you'd imagine it. It was a shit show, but you know, my friendship circle is extremely solid. So there was some not hard conversations, but just some conversations at the start. What's the hierarchy of decision making here? Who wants to have what input? Who wants to put in what money? Who wants to commit to what hours a week in terms of, you know, playing an active role in the business? And we worked that out pretty sweet, and now it's seamless. You know, we have a hierarchy of decisions. We have responsibility. Some people have more responsibility than others, and it's all flowing really nicely.
How are you finding it? Like trying to juggle? Like obviously you're building Ledlin development, which is taking up a lot of your time because, you know, you're doing some crazy things there, and now you're just trying to jump here, and obviously it's a little baby that you're trying to build. So how are you trying to juggle that?
I mean, I'm definitely feeling like this is a startup at the moment,
Yeah.
so I'm doing, you know, like I've been replying to fucking messages on social media through the jet. We've just hired a full-time social media manager, so I'm not anymore. But like I've had to do, and I'm still doing a lot of the ground up startup type stuff. It's not like, oh, I'm the CEO, so I'm just going to make decisions from the top. It's like, it's been very much, it's a handful of guys. You know, we're trying to do everything without a lot of capital to start with. So we've all been feeling that, and I've been feeling that myself, of course. But moving forward, I think it's really teaching me to be more productive with my time and to be a better leader. It's something I've always struggled with, is delegation, and I wouldn't like to think that I'm a micromanager, but I've always had an eye on the detail of everything that's happening with my business, and I want to remain like that, but be able to just build out a bit more of a team and have a bit more trust in what my team's doing. So that's something that I'm doing very quickly.
That's
you know,
interesting.
within Ledlin, we're hiring at the moment. We're hiring for 2 roles, and my entire team is stepping up. And you know how I live my life anyway, especially, you know, be it through social media or just generally. I try and be as authentic in the public eye as I can, and my team sees that, so they know I'm doing this. It's not like my team at Ledlin is like, oh, where's Oscar? What's he doing? They know what I'm trying to build. They know what my goals are, and they're fully supportive of it. And you know, I've got construction managers saying like, hey, if you need me to, you know, pack some boxes and send, you know, they're happy to help. They're supportive. So I think it's just about good people around me and treating them well, and trying to be the best leader I can, and hopefully that helps me be productive in 2 businesses and have overall a bigger output in both of them.
That's mad. Maybe there's someone else that's probably in your position or like someone that's probably running potentially a business or that's struggling with delegating and things like that. Like, have you put any processes or anything in place or any mindset stuff that you've done to try and...
To be honest, like all I'm relying on at the moment is my work ethic. Yeah. And like I've tested my work ethic in the past a few times, and like, and I know when I need to, I can put in 100 hours a week, which is, you know, what I've been doing, and I can work 7 days a week, which is what I've been doing. So that's what gives me comfort, to know that I need to evolve as a leader, and I need to have more systems and processes and better people. But until that happens, I know I'll just work like 10 men and get it done. But it's interesting, when I made the decision to make a big commitment to this business, I wasn't sure if I was in or out, and there was going to be another like a co-CEO essentially in the business, and it wasn't working, and the boys were like, Oscar, it's you, you know, we're doing this. And I was like, I just don't think I can take this on by myself. And they were all geeing me up, of course. Oh, you can fucking do it with your eyes closed, don't worry about it. And what I ended up doing, it was right at the time where Elon Musk was flirting around with buying Twitter and, he's CEO of 5 companies and stuff like that. And I just
like
ended up
8
going
of them.
like, if Elon can do it, I can do it. And that was it. I was like, fuck it. If he can do it, I'll do it. And I made the decision. I'm like, I'll commit to both businesses. And
That's brilliant.
if I have to do, 50 hours a week in one and 50 hours a week in the other for the time being, I will. And hopefully I'll get to the point where my leadership skills are better and I don't have to have that much day-to-day involvement. But until then, I'll make it work.
Mate, that is insane. That's bloody insane. And what's and what challenges like early on have you guys faced so far with obviously trying to bring this product, trying it? There'd be, I don't know, stuff that distribution errors or...
Oh, there's thousands. I think licensing is obviously a big one. Like this, with alcohol, you need licenses and you need to be able to obtain one, and there's all sorts of problems that come with that. So that was an initial, a very large hurdle. Working with friends has been a dynamic that really had to adjust to. Being in business with mates, there's a lot of considerations because you're not just sitting across the table from a colleague, you're sitting across the table from one of your best mates, and there's events to go to after. You have to have heavy conversations, and then you might have to go to someone's christening or 3rd birthday or something after that. So you have to be mindful and considerate of that. The electrolytes, there's a whole lot of legalities around what you can and can't do in beverages, and we were adamant we wanted to create something with that functionality. So we really put a lot of time and effort into getting that. We had 9 industry professionals tell us we couldn't do that before we figured out that we could.
Oh wow!
We worked with biochemists out of Nevada, and we come up with the perfect electrolyte formula for what we wanted to do, and then we run into supply issues with particular electrolytes, so then we had to go back and forth and different variations of a monohydrate or a solid, or there's obviously a science to it, and understanding how that all works took a bit to get our head around. And
why is it so
because you're effectively mixing alcohol as a drug which it has a function, and it causes an effect within the body, and then we're trying to put something else which almost has an opposite effect within the body. So trying to balance that and trying to understand consumption, because responsible consumption might be 2 or 3 of these, but you have to be mindful that people still do sometimes drink irresponsibly. So you don't want something that's safe to drink 3 but not safe to drink 15 or 20. So we had to work through all that, but we got that down pat. And then the last thing is probably the marketing. There's a lot of regulation around marketing of alcohol, and we've had little things pop up where we've posted what we thought were harmless photos and stuff like that, and we've been really treading on the wrong side of the line with responsible marketing of alcohol.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have to be very careful of that, and we're all learning. The entire industry at the moment, so little things that might seem harmless, like one of the founders posting a photo of him in his G-up shirt with his son in the photo is completely harmless in our view, but in the eyes of marketing regulations for alcohol, that isn't harmless. So has to strictly 18 plus in all that sort of stuff.
There is a lot of red tape everywhere.
Like you wouldn't believe.
Wow.
A lot of red tape. There's some bureaucracy behind it as well, because there's things that you can't do that some of the biggest alcohol companies in the world are doing. So you have to know what the ramifications are, what the justifications are, where you can toe the line, where you can't. And then aside from that, there's the whole moral consideration too, which the boys and I, we are very mindful of where our morals sit with it too. We don't want to be towing the line in areas where we don't think are acceptable morally, even if they might be acceptable in terms of the marketing guidelines. And then on the other side, we think some things are fine and the marketing guidelines don't. So trying to navigate that, that's definitely an ongoing challenge. But I think it will be, for the lifeline of the business, where we hope to be a disruptive brand. So some of our marketing strategies are going to be, very much in a grey area, but we'll navigate that.
That's insane. I love it. I know it's a little bit to just probably put out there, but if you're more than comfortable to do so, I'd like to maybe just understand a bit of your vision with this. Like where do you guys see this going?
Yeah, we're very early days. I told the boys, I reckon we can, make this a $50 million business, and as things have progressed, this company will be worth $50 million by the end of the year. We're in a good industry and we've got all the right people in place. Definitely have, much higher hopes for it than that. We have a good team. There's people in the team that have built businesses from, zero to $500 million. There's multiple people in the team that have done that. We have a pretty diverse and large group of influential people involved in the business now. There isn't just the original 4 or 5 founders. There's a bigger team. So I think this business could be worth hundreds of millions of dollars within a few years. A lot of things have to fall in place for that to happen. You need support of the audience. You need a lot of hard work and a couple of lucky goes along the way. So if we get that, then I think this thing can be big.
I reckon you guys can do it. Just looking at, I know obviously you can't compare even actually the uninspired, unemployed guys. They're doing crazy numbers. Yeah,
their business has just been valued at about $300 million. Based on the revenue they're doing. They're raising funds at the moment. So, it's definitely they're pioneering or leading the way in what can be done with an influencer-backed product. And we have a very experienced senior management team and some influential people in terms of social influence and in terms of business influence. So we'll tackle it, 1 quarter at a time and see how we go.
I know it's probably no. We'll probably leave that. We'll probably leave that question out. We'll skip my next question. But honestly, I think what you guys are doing it's insane. And I'm just pumped. I'm just so pumped for you guys. Another bloody drink to that.
I'm pretty excited about it too, to be honest, man. There's just, like I was saying to my partner Jesse the other day, I just said there's just so many things coming up, so many exciting things. We're about to re-kick off a marketing campaign for some units that we had reserved at Springvale. We've got...
Oh, is that still going?
That's still going, yeah. We've got the last 73 units under construction at the moment.
Okay.
So
crazy.
They're due for settlement. We'll do a stage settlement, but some will sort of settle July, August, some will settle September, October. So, we've got $35 million worth of property there to settle before the end of the year, which is exciting. We've got the sales and the leasing of that, and then we've got Vermont to come, which of course we'll talk about. So that's another $40 million project that we're pretty excited about. So and then obviously this, and it's just like some
plus life
in general. Yeah. So I wake up every day and I'm like shit. What fucked up, crazy, exciting thing have I got on today? So yeah, it's a bit of fun.
Do you have what's some advice for somebody that's probably watching this, and if they want to maybe start their own alcoholic brand or even just something e-commerce in general? I know you're still fresh, but anything...
if they want to start an alcohol brand, I'll tell them not to do it. Nah, just kidding. To be honest, I think people just need to start. You don't need to start. We've started this in a big way, but we're all reasonably experienced in business. We're all reasonably established in terms of we have other business supporting us. If this flops, next month, which I hope it doesn't, but if it did, it's nobody in the business is going to be hard done by financially. But so you don't have to start in a big way like that, but any business can be started on the side nowadays, I think, save for a few industries. But I think people just need to build out a long-term plan and make small steps to move in that direction. I heard somebody talking the other day, and something that resonated with me that I sort of summarized as think in decades and act in minutes. It's you need to have long-term plans for what your vision wants to be for yourself, in 10 years, 20 years time from now. It doesn't have to be to the detail, but you need to, in 20 years time from now, do you want to be flying economy or do you want to be flying private? Do you want to be spending, 40 hours a week in the office or 80 and map your life around that? But, and having big grand visions, I'm all for that. But at the end of the day, you've got to work in minutes. You've got to be how many productive hours of the day are you putting towards chasing your goals and your vision, and that's what it all comes down to. So I think there's plenty of people. Goal setting is becoming more and more popular, which is amazing, and having big visions, and audacious goals, that's becoming more popular, which is amazing. But at the end of the day, you've got to do the fucking work. So I think we can't lose focus on that.
100%. And obviously going over to your development side of things, man, like how have you been finding that, trying to juggle? Obviously you got Vermont, that's going on. Like what you've been doing there is actually insane, man. I love all the amenities that you've started to add in there. Why did you just feel a need to do this?
To be honest, I think there's a place in the market for it, and I'm very lucky that in both the bigger businesses I'm involved now with G-Up and with Ledlin is that I am my target market. I can see what my target audience or my target market wants because I fit within that. And a lot of inspiration for what we do, be it through marketing or design or inclusions across both of these businesses, is inspired by what I would want myself and how I can relate to that audience.
Boundaries, man.
Yeah, and with
Ledlin,
when we were designing Springvale, it all started with what do we want? What would we like? And then we got more involved in the marketing, and we would attend inspections alongside our sales agents, and we would get that direct feedback from the consumer, who our ideal customer is very much who we are. It's that young, entrepreneurial, aspirational business owner. So we would bounce off them, and they would throw suggestions, and we would consider how that would work for us. And we're moving our Ledlin HQ into the final stage of our Springvale development.
Oh, nice.
Just because we've created something in the market that we don't think we can get anywhere, and we want to be around it. The environment, there's 147 small business owners, all young, all like-minded, all aspirational, all within, one business hub. We're like, fuck, we want to be amongst that. And just recognizing that ourselves, we're like, we need to leverage this from a commercial point of view because, we're desiring it. We imagine other people in our target market would desire it too. And we've just looked to build on that with Vermont, which, we've taken it up another level with the design of that project.
Well, it's killing it. Like even at the VIP event that you threw in St Kilda in December, like it was literally that market. You had everybody there. Like you're literally nailing it. I know through social media. I suppose you'd probably be selling a lot through your own socials.
Yeah, I mean,
at least gathering a lot of interest through.
Yeah. So for Vermont, we sold I think 14.5. plus GST, so $15-16 million worth of property for our release, and we did that in 6 minutes. That was you can't do that through the traditional sales channels. And we could have sold the entire project out. We could have sold $40 million worth of property in a day, but we want stage sales, and we like to allow our sales agents to get involved and do a bit more as well. I think that helps curate the environment too, to have a wider audience than just our immediate audience. But we broke the back of that project we kicked off that campaign at 10 a.m. and at 10:06 it was done. So
you look at it. What were you saying? I think you looked at Tim. You're like, I don't think anyone's going to buy anything today.
Yeah. So I was actually. We were, because we had everything set up, and all we had to do was hit go on the website, and it was 10:02, and I was getting cold feet like I always do, and I was like, fuck man, what if we've really pushed the boundaries on this project. We've got a rooftop terrace, we've got a basement car wash, we've got co-working office space, boardroom. I was like, we've got a dog wash in this project, because a lot of our consumers seem to have cavoodles. I'm like, I just last minute, I was like, why the fuck did we put a dog wash in this thing? Like, what if nobody wants that? And he just, reassured me. He's like, no, we'll be good. So 10 o'clock we hit the button, and 10:06 it was done. And I was like, fuck,
that's insane.
Yeah, the market response was overwhelmingly supportive. So we know we're onto something. We'll keep building that out from there. But I think what's really exciting for us from a commercial point of view is we're doing something that isn't easily replicated, and I think our VIP event at St Kilda was a real reflection of that, because that was 110 or 120 of our most recent clients, and from the photos and the video that we're about to release and just being there, it just looked like it was 120 mates getting on the piss, you know what I mean? Like 120 guys and girls talking about business, you know, talking about what they're up to, their goals, having a cocktail. It didn't look like any sort of property event. It didn't look like a sales meeting or anything like that. It was just guys hanging out, you know. A lot of high fives, a lot of hugs, you know, a lot of photos. It was really amazing to be a part of, and it really just is a reflection of what our business parks are like. You know, when I'm down at Springvale, I'll seen the other day somebody dropping off something on their electric scooter to another purchaser, to another tenant there or occupant, because somebody's printer had broken, so they had messaged them in the Facebook group, can somebody print this? I've got a meeting this afternoon. They dropped it around on their scooter. You know, it's really cool to see them clicking like that. They're all supporting each other on social media. You know, there's a bit of a mother's club going on with, you know, babies and cavoodle. There's a, you know, I don't know why it's cavoodles. Like, I've got cavoodles myself, but I go down there and there's like 10 cavoodles running around the place. So yeah, it's really cool to see them all supporting each other, and even me. You know, like the amount of support I've had from my recent clients with the launch of G-Up, just because they're excited for me to be involved in business. They're excited for their other neighbours to be involved in business, and it's just really inspiring to see everybody supporting each other, and we just want to keep building on that.
That's brilliant. It's even in regards to, do you know what I love? How everyone is just there, like literally. Like I remember when I was in there with Danielle, like Danielle just like walks out in the middle, just like screaming. Everyone's just like running outside, like coming in. They're coming into a like place. It's actually crazy what a community you've built. And like every time you'd probably walk in there, you'd probably feel like so good. Like,
yeah, I mean, I do like, and there's a lot of nostalgia there for my involvement in and stuff like that. But we get a lot of feedback from clients and prospective purchasers when they come in there, and they can't put their finger on it, and they just go, there's just a really good vibe here. They don't know what it is, but it's just a mix of, you know, the increased landscaping, the design, and ultimately the people that are there. You drive in and there's some guys and girls having lunch on a park bench, and you know, that's made from recycled or reclaimed fishing line from the ocean, and you've got cavoodles running around, of course, and someone on their electric scooter racing up the street. It's like a party there on a nice sunny day. So I think that just helps the whole thing come together, and yeah, that's a big part of our mission now, is to help put these communities together, and we can't really put them together, but what we do is we create the product that attracts the right person, and we put the amenity in place that encourages our occupants to bump into each other, whether it's, you know, on a Friday afternoon washing our cars, or on a Monday morning grabbing a coffee and going up to the rooftop terrace. We provide those spaces for our occupants to meet, and you know, when you put like-minded people in the same environment, encourage them to interact, the collaboration happens from there and the community forms. So yeah, we want to keep going with that.
Have you got flexis going in the new one as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Is there anything else in particular that you're doing different?
I mean, I think just the entirety of the project has come up another level. So, you know, we're doing flexis again, but we're doing them with a little bit more refined inclusions and more natural light. And the amenity of the flexis, you know, we've taken it up a level in terms of height as well as inclusion. So, you know, it's an elevated co-working office space, communal boardroom, you know, floor to ceiling windows, full natural light. We've got the communal rooftop terrace, a car wash. We're also doing postage rooms, which we haven't seen done before. So, you know what? There's nothing more. We've been online shopping now for, I don't know how long. It's got to be 10, 15 years or something. And in the more recent 3 years, we've been doing it a lot with what's happened with lockdowns and stuff. But there's nothing more frustrating than when you come back to the office after being out and about in meetings and you see one of those little blue slips sticking out from underneath the front door, and you're like, I should have just bought it from the shop. You know, now I've got to drive around. I'm going to go to the post office. I'm going to get there. The postie's still going to be out and about with the parcel. He's going to try and re-deliver it. I'm not going to... That doesn't happen at our projects anymore. We have a designated postal room, so only occupants and our couriers, delivery services have full access to it. You just never have to worry about that. Same with outbound goods for e-commerce business. You know, all these e-commerce businesses, they stack up their outbound goods, whether they're big or small. You know, they'll have these, whether it's an Ozpost or FedEx branded bag, they sit it by the front door. It's out in the rain, it's out in the weather, and for all to see, good or bad. That doesn't happen anymore. You know, we have designated rooms. So again, They have their allocated spots, fully secure, fully undercover, well lit, out of the weather, and then the postal service comes in. He has his little fob. Everything's tracked, so we can see who's come in and out, and they don't have to be there for their outbound goods. Which, again, these just little 1%ers that make the property ideally more efficient, more functional, and more desirable, and that's just what keeps ticking us in the right direction.
100%, man. Like when are you guys going to be taking this to the public market? Like for anyone that's like interested, how can they register?
Yeah, so we're probably going to start our public marketing campaign, I'd say around May, June. Yeah, we'll time it just after the commencement of construction. So we're just about to start construction there. We've already demolished. We'll start.
Insane.
Probably April, we'll start pushing a bit of dirt around and really get stuck into it in May. So I think we'll time the commencement of our construction with that, and shortly after that we'll probably have a groundbreaking ceremony for some of our purchasers there, which is exciting. They can come down and we can cut the ribbon, do a food truck, and just stand on the dirt. A lot of them haven't really been able to stand on the site yet because when they purchased there was existing buildings and tenancies and stuff in place. So they'll be able to stand where their unit is, meet some of the other purchasers, and ultimately just start curating that community a little bit earlier, because people can connect, they can hear and read about different businesses that are going to be within the business park and maybe connect on socials or whatever it is, and just start that magic a little earlier.
That is brilliant. All these 1%ers, man, you're literally covering it all.
Slowly. It's just, you know, it's continually taking a little bit further and innovating a little bit more with our services and with the design and inclusions of the product. And we're actually just hiring someone now because we want to take it a little step further with that delivery of, I guess, the client interaction. You know, particularly in development, but I mean even more so in commercial development, it's just been part of the process that you sign a contract, and if you're buying off the plan, you know, near enough to 12, 18 months later, 2 weeks out from settlement, you'll get a letter from your solicitor saying that, you know, come up with the money, your building's ready to go. Like the customer journey just hasn't been nurtured. And for, you know, a lot of reasons that we've discussed and some that we haven't, we really want to get more involved in that customer journey. And we think, if nothing else, we owe it to the customer. You know, you get more of a fucking customer journey buying a $50 shirt off an online e-commerce business than you do. Our average product is $550K. You know, the least we can do is send a few emails and touch base with a bit of an update on the project life cycle. So we want to go a bit further in that direction too.
It's true, man. Like even on the residential side of things, like there isn't much.
No, there isn't
much at all.
There isn't. And for what reason, I don't know. Maybe just it hasn't been done, so people haven't felt the competitive need to move in that direction. But you watch what we've got planned over the next 12, 18 months to move more in that direction in 3 to 5 years' time, because this industry moves quite slowly. But in 3 to 5 years' time, you won't buy it. There'll be VIP nights, there'll be project launch nights, there'll be groundbreaking ceremonies, there'll be all this sort of stuff. And I'll be glad for it, because I think like the consumer deserves it.
Bloody oath. How are you finding it? Like, even with what you're doing, like, I'm sure it's getting a lot of notice. Are you seeing that a lot of developers are starting to take inspiration with what you're doing?
Yeah, they are. They're starting to take inspiration. That's one way to put it. I mean, out of the that's a sensitive topic, but we'll talk about it. No, I mean, I shouldn't be bitter. Because at the end of the day, I'm passionate about what we're delivering and why we're delivering it. So if other developers are doing their best to deliver that alongside us, ultimately for the end consumer, it is the right thing and it is the best thing. Sometimes, like, I get upset when people, they'll send me we've had clients send us projects and be like, you fucking didn't tell us about this. Like, I told you, and when you release the next project, I want to be involved, and it's somebody else's project. You know? And that's how closely they're appearing, be it intentionally or unintentionally. Things like that I don't like, and I think I've got a lot of personal issues about being, you know, misunderstood and stuff. So I don't like people to think that projects aren't ours and all that sort of stuff. But we just got to continue innovating, and we're very lucky that our industry is moving quite rapidly. You know, the e-commerce space and the digital marketing space, they are very, very young industries. So to think that a cosmetic injectables business would be in an industrial business park 20 years ago would never have happened. They need street front, they need high volume traffic and stuff. Now that doesn't happen. You know, you don't walk down this strip of shops here and see cosmetic injectables and go, and Christian takes his head off and says, I'll go in and get my lips done. That doesn't happen anymore. We're scrolling on social media and bang, an ad pops up and so you don't need that street presence. So to be opening up to new markets like that, whether it's financial planners or all these different professional services, cosmetic injectables, you know, all these not quite, but semi-retail and of course e-commerce businesses, it's allowing us to continue innovating. And so I think the whole industry will at the moment, we're pioneering it and they're following what we're doing and they'll continue to do that. And we've just got to be, if we're as good as we think we are, we just got to continue to stay ahead of them.
We're, I think, I don't know if you're doing it at Vermont or something. Is it any of them like double like story levels or like they're up? You got to go up an elevator or anything like that?
Yeah, so we've got 4 stories at Vermont. Yeah.
I really would love to see how these work. So like, what's it? So if let's just say I was on the 3rd level, and I was I don't know, like a standard trucking company. I don't know, like a company that would just need to get a truck in or something. Yeah,
so we're not doing it for warehouse yet. Okay. We're doing it for office. So we're doing 4 levels of office at Vermont. But I mean, we've had a lot of discussions off camera around multi-level warehousing. It's definitely where the industry is going. Yeah. At the moment, you know, we're at the forefront and we want to continue pioneering in that space. You know, there's a lot of work to be done in that space with regards to what's acceptable from council. Because you've got to remember, for the last 50 years, councils have been looking at industrial land as big tilt slab sheds. That's it. And now, you know, I had a meeting with council on Friday, and they're trying to get their head around what we're designing. You know, you've got like a 4-story office building on the front. You've got basement flexis, office warehouses of 3 different products. You've got this wedding cake style tiered building at the front with greenery all down the front of it, and they're like, what the fuck?
What the fuck's
Where'd the 16-metre high sheds go? You know? B-double access, that was it. So we've got to continue to have those conversations and without going too much into it, you know, the planning scheme has to evolve with the way that the land use is evolving. But until that does, there's a lot of challenges and conversations to have with councils, you know, so that's good. And then the next thing is the market has to accept it as well. So it has to be in the right locations. It has to be designed with functionality in mind. So there's a lot of work to come with that, but I think that's definitely the way the industry's going.
Even regardless, even like your 4th level office, for example, like you're getting good views like this.
Yeah, we set a drone up. We've got city views from Vermont. We've got like mad views of Box Hill and the towers there. But past that, you can see straight through to the city. So, you know, on a Monday morning, our smallest flexi units, you know, that might be $150 a week rent. They come in, they've got their flexi unit, they might store their e-commerce goods there, they can wash their car, they've got their postal service there, there's communal bathrooms throughout, there's a cafe, they can grab a coffee from the cafe, head up 4 stories to the rooftop terrace and have city views for their coffee on a Monday morning from $150 a week. So I think there's a real desirable product there and we're just going to continue pushing.
That's crazy. I love it. And going into something a little bit interesting, when we first did our podcast, you predicted it pretty perfectly in saying what was going to happen over the next couple of years. You predicted it pretty perfectly and what was going to happen in the industrial industry over the next couple of years, where growth has just
We can just insert that clip down in the bottom corner right now. When Oscar Ledlin
nailed.
When everyone said the market was done in industrial and he said it'll double again in 2 years, just fucking right.
That is exactly what bloody happened, man. Absolutely nailed. And and this is why it's like, okay, Oscar, you turn on the bloody Channel 7 news, so you just feel like it's very scary.
Well, that's your first problem, watching the news.
You get scared. Like, you read an article, like, you get scared.
Yeah.
And I'm not buying it. And I think there's a lot of fear going on in the market, but I'd love to get your thoughts on it. You know, you're obviously on the ground seeing what's going on.
Yeah, and I mean, I went to an event on Thursday morning last week. The Urban Developer put on an amazing breakfast, and they had economists and a panel of developers and some banking guys there. It was incredible to hear the Economist First talk. You know, he did an amazing presentation, and he had a real great sense of humour for an economist. And it was not rainbows and sunshines at all. It was a very pessimistic view of the next 12 months to 18 month economic outlook. But I'm not seeing it. And I watch a lot of this economic forecasting, and I try and hypothesize myself, and I often do. But I really go off on what I'm noticing on the ground, because I'm fortunate enough to be on the ground. So, I mean, even, you know, this economist, he's got data and he's got graphs here and bar charts and he's trying to trend this and all that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, when I'm on the ground and, you know, we've got literally hundreds of people waiting to get on our waiting list, I'm like, there's markets within markets, and I don't see it all doom and gloom. I think the industry that I'm in specifically, you know, we're very lucky. I think there's a whole structural shift. I think the entire industry is incredibly undervalued. So I think that's going to underpin our market a lot. And I'll try and speak a little bit more broader, because I know you've got a very wide property audience. I have to be very, very selective about what I say, because I know there's an entire audience of property professionals watching. So, but to be honest, like, I think we've got a couple more interest rate rises left before we find out that inflation's under control. And with how the property prices and the activity in the market is holding up now, I think the second that the sentiment becomes, we don't need any more interest rate rises, and the next movement in rates is down, I think we'll see an upward trend of property prices like we haven't seen in, you know, probably in our careers, to be honest. And nobody's talking about that at the moment. Yeah. So either I've completely misread it, or we'll do another podcast in 18 months' time, and all y'all can send me a message say you got it right. But yeah, I mean, I'm just not like, the way interest rates have moved, we should have had a serious, noticeable impact on property prices. Yeah. We should have, and we haven't. You know, the statistics show, you know, a few percent here, maybe 5% there. We should have seen enormous impacts from these rate rises, and that tells me that there's something else at play in terms of something that's supporting what's going on here. And I think there's a lot in terms of what's happened over the last 3 years. I think that's really underpinning the market. People are more comfortable spending, they're less comfortable sitting still, they don't want money in the bank, all that sort of stuff. You know, we've got immigration to come back when it does. We've had extreme constraints on supply with construction materials and developers' appetite and that sort of thing. And now we have a rental crisis, and nobody can argue that. You know, if you know, a friend of mine was recently, you know, he was looking for an apartment for maybe $750, $1,000 a week, and he was showing up to these rental inspections. He was sending me photos, and there was just a line of people in front of me, and I was like, and then he'd send me a selfie, and there was a line behind him as well. And it's like, you know, the place he ended up getting, it went up online on a Sunday, and by 9 o'clock Monday morning, he called and they had 36 applications. Yeah. They hadn't even done an open for inspection yet. You know, the amount of people out there that just need housing, I think that's just underpinning our entire property market. Of course, the funding environment has a serious implication on that. But the second that sentiment changes, I think that, you know, the market's off with a bang again. So we'll see. Yeah. What do you think?
No, I think you're right. I look at like what's happened. Obviously, in 2021, you know, the overall market went up 20-25%. Then, okay, the residential market dropped about 10% on average last year. Commercial didn't. Commercial,
it's kept going.
Commercial went up. And then I look at even now, like, residential market's holding up well. There's no stock on the market. If you want to buy, like, okay, let's just use Northcote or Eaglemont or something around here. There's like nothing. Yeah. So like, if you want to buy, and you know, there's still a lot of people turning up. Like, they're still buying. There's still like the supply hasn't been nuts, and it's still turning. Okay, they're predicting that they're like, I saw the CBA economist. I was listening to him yesterday. He's like, okay, there's going to be 2 more rate rises, 0.25. He reckons over the next couple of months, and then like you said, they're going to start dropping them. Okay, if they keep going up, well, that could get interesting. But
absolutely,
like I just think like we're at a really good position, and I always follow. So there's a Vietnamese restaurant next door to our office, and I always leave let's just say I walk out at 7, whatever, 7:30, it's dinner time. I always look in just to see what's going on. And that place is burnt to the rafters.
yeah.
You can't get a seat in there.
Yeah.
There's people spending money. I can't see it.
Mate, it was one of the boys' birthday. It was Adrian's birthday 2 weeks ago, and a few days earlier, the boys and I were like, we've got to get him a present. We'll get him something nice from LV. And one of the boys zipped down Tuesday, 11 o'clock, an hour and a half in line at LV Chadstone to buy Adrian a nice present. And I said to him, I'm like, fucking what recession? You know, we're in the group chat just making fun of, the entire fucking economic outlook for Australia at the moment, because people are still spending. And you see the RBA announcements, they're saying people have to stop spending, and it's like, well, what they've done hasn't impacted consumer spending like maybe it should have. And I mean, you can look at all the statistics about, there's only a mortgage on 1/3 of properties in Australia. So, we're trying to control the entire population of Australia with a small portion of it. But I just think that things will settle down over the next 6 months. They definitely need to. Like, inflation is out of control. We need to really curb that. But I think the second that it starts to slow down, interest rates, at least stop, and the sentiment becomes the next interest rate is going down. If people are paying what they're paying for things now with the view that there's more interest rate rises to come, when the interest rate rises are heading the other direction, I just think the speculation is just going to carry the market forward. So, yeah.
Well, it's true. Like, and I saw something as well. Like, we always price in like 6 months ahead.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
yeah.
Like,
the things that we're waiting to happen in 6 months' time from now, with the flow of communication now, because with the technology that we have, they're priced in now.
Yeah.
It happens like that. So, and COVID taught us that. The market went from it's dropping 30% to it's going to stabilise to it's going up 20% all in a matter of 3 months. The sentiment changes. Like the media, the mainstream media does what the mainstream media does, but the social media now, it's like wildfire. So the spread of communication is so quick. I think the second the sentiment changes, that everyone who sat out of the market, because obviously there's a lot of people sitting out of the market at the moment, everyone who sat out of the market for the second half of 2022, or maybe the entirety of 2022, and what might be the most of 2023, when the market turns, it's just going to be who can get back in the quickest, and we know what happens then.
You get caught with your pants down.
Yeah.
I even think about it as well. Like, all right, let's just say you saw something that you liked, and you purchased. Like, you're thinking about purchasing it, and okay, the market does go down. How much more is it going to go down? Like, it's to an effect of like, if you look at the property market over the last 20 or so years, it's okay. It has its trends. It comes up, it comes down a little bit, goes up again, comes down a little bit. Then it might go like this. Then it goes up again.
I mean, timing the market is incredibly challenging.
Yeah.
And like, because you're trying to time this massive macro market, and then you've got smaller markets within that, and then you've got the particular property that you're going to buy, and you might have an over-enthusiastic vendor with unrealistic sales expectations, or a really great agent, or the time you go to purchase it, it's very competitive because there's only 2 buyers in the market, you and one other guy, but you both happen to want the same house. Like, there's so many different factors in place, and then you're trying to judge that with an overall market. I think like people have to remain realistic about things like that, and particularly now, like the market, there's no doubt it's been trending downward since late 2021 or early 2022, depending what you look at. If you're buying now, like an extra couple of percent, the alternative is when inflation's under control and we decide that we don't need any more interest rate rises and the market takes off, you might miss out by 10%.
Yeah. Literally.
So I mean, that's forever been the trade-off, and trying to juggle that. Like myself, with development sites, we're buying development sites with a long-term view. We are mindful of which way the market's moving, which way it's not, and when it's trending upwards very aggressively, we might jump in a little bit quicker than what we would right now. But at the moment, we are looking to buy. Like now's the time to buy. Yeah. You can either wait another 6 months till the market's turned, and then you're buying in an upward market. And that's what 95% or probably 99% of the market will do. But now is the time when there's opportunities and there's less competition with buyers to try and snap up a deal, essentially.
What are you finding? Like, I'm sure you're getting a lot of things sent to you Are you finding that a lot of it would be like it doesn't work because a lot of it's overpriced, or are people still in the clouds a little bit with what they want, but maybe they don't need to sell?
Particularly with like my space in, you know, this commercial to industrial land, you know, the market has been incredibly hyped for the last few years for good reason. You know, we've had massive institutions bringing literally, you know, billions of dollars into the market, which has made it incredibly competitive. That's definitely like that speculation has dropped out of the market. Just the media is, it become like, they would be like a broken record. You know, e-commerce is fueling an industrial boom. COVID's fueling an industrial boom. You know, out of lockdowns, industrial boom. They got sick of writing about the same thing. So like that hype has pulled out a little bit, which is great for us trying to buy. But, you know, we're not getting sites sent to us and going, fuck, this is cheap, or shit, there's so many sites coming at us, we can't look at them all. Like, we are working, you know, we've got agents that we work with canvassing, you know, we're trying to explore JVs with landowners to unlock good sites. We're trying to subdivide portion, or we are subdividing portions of larger property to unlock good sites. There isn't an oversupply of land, it's particularly not in the areas that we're looking for it. And I think it's, you know, maybe there's a few pockets of like, particularly closer to the city with apartments and stuff like that, where then, you know, there's stock coming up. But with what we're doing, you know, we're still fighting to try and find particularly development sites.
It's tough. Like,
and you know, we've got clients who are like, Oscar, I really want a Ledlin property, but you know, you've got people lining up and I can't be fighting, so I'm going to buy something else, but I still just can't buy something. So, you know, there isn't a supply of an oversupply of what we're doing. So I think the market is much healthier than what we as a general audience perceive it at the moment.
do you think, like, would you ever look to go do something like Interstate? Is that something that's going to be on the cards?
Down the track, yeah. I mean, at the moment, you know, I'm flat out getting home for dinner before 9 o'clock at night. So to be building a project Interstate, like my blood pressure just went up. No, it's something down the track, definitely, man. Like we'll build when my leadership skills evolve, when my team evolves, because we build everything that we do too, don't forget. So I wouldn't want to outsource that. I wouldn't want to engage some random third-party builder and lose, you know, the quality of the build and the finishes and the speed of delivery, and be subject to contract administration risk, which is a big one at the moment. So I think down the track, it's either set up a small team Interstate to build the projects, or do some sort of joint venture with a builder who I have a relationship with, where I have control and view, and I can send my construction manager up for a week with a clipboard to say, like, this isn't how we do it at Ledlin, change this, change that. But it's definitely like, I've got big plans for Ledlin, and my attention for the immediate couple of months is, you know, a little bit spread across G-Up, of course, as we get that off the ground. But my ambition for Ledlin is going from strength to strength. You know, I've got some big plans for what I want to do over the next 10 years in this industry. So Interstate is part of that.
That's insane. You're literally on the right trajectory, man. Like you're literally just, I love it, man. Like every project, I'm just like, yes. Like, you just keep doing something just amazing. Like, so I want to send you. I'm going to send you some stuff that I saw just as some inspiration when I was over in Dubai. Just have a look at.
Amazing,
like, I think it'd just be something. I don't know how much you could probably use here in Melbourne, but
it's little ideas. Yeah, definitely.
Maybe when you do Gold Coast or something.
Yeah. Palm trees and
give me a bit of a rundown, like personal development wise. I know you put a lot of it on Instagram stories and. But like, what are your little, like, seems like you're really big on 1%ers. Like, what have you been doing, or what have you even been trying to improve on in your life?
Towards the middle of 2022, I just had a bit of a shift just to turn things up a gear, to be honest. I don't know why. Like, I wasn't sitting on my hands at the time, but I just thought, I want to take things up to another level, and my health and mindset were a big part of that. I broke it into a few different areas. So there was fitness, there was health and well-being, and then there was mindset. And I really engaged help for all three of them. So for the fitness stuff, I just started working with guys who, you know, have a lot more experience and knowledge in that space than I do, and just started pushing my fitness a bit further, and you might have seen been doing some dumb shit like, you know, running 5Ks or 10Ks on the treadmill with my mouth taped shut and just, you know, normal crazy shit that I'd get up to that you'd expect. But
sleeping as well.
Sleeping with my mouth taped.
Yeah.
I've actually increased the amount of sleep I'm getting, which has been great for me. And then with the well-being side of it and that sort of health, I engaged a coach and started doing blood tests. So I was doing finger prick blood tests every 8 weeks, and then full bloods every 12 to 16 weeks, and then altering my diet and my supplement regime based on that. I cut out alcohol for 6 months, right before I launched an alcohol business, of course, because why not? So I wanted to give myself a break from that. Cut out caffeine. So I haven't had caffeine in almost 12 months now.
How's that been?
Yeah, it's been amazing. Yeah, it's been amazing. I think like I highly recommend it. I think there's definitely caffeine isn't a bad thing, but abuse of caffeine, which I was doing, and I think like, you know, 80% of the corporate world is doing. Caffeine has incredible impacts on your sleep, and sleep is incredibly underrated. And I was trying to get 8 hours worth of sleep in 5.5 hours.
Yeah.
So I was like, I've got to improve the time I'm spending in bed and at home. So I've done that to 6.5, 7 hours. And I'm like, now I'm trying to fit 8 or 9 hours worth of sleep into that space. So I wanted to improve the quality of my sleep if I couldn't improve the quality. And caffeine was the first thing to go. And like some of the sleep studies on the impacts of caffeine and sleep, I think are definitely worth exploring. What else did I do? I introduced more meditation. I introduced breath work. So yeah, the well-being was definitely a large focus. Cold showers, I think I've been doing for, you know, coming up 5 years now.
Oh,
so,
wow.
That's like I think they've been spoken about pretty widely now, but I'm a big advocate for cold therapy.
5 years?
I think so. I just was looking back the other day. I remember on a podcast with Leo, I think I told him that it was coming up 12 months, and that was back in 2018. So yeah, I think it's something that like, it's just part of my routine now, and it's a daily challenge, but every morning I love it, and the health benefits of that are pretty widely studied now. So I think if anybody's looking for just a small mindset and health challenge, because it's sort of 2-in-1, that one, I would recommend, you know, looking into cold showers to get started.
Is it still a battle?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, every day. It doesn't get easier. Yeah, I just know every day that I'm going to do it now because it's become a habit. But every time before you turn that shower to cold, well, I'll speak for myself, I come up with 1,000 reasons why I shouldn't. You know, like I'm going to have a shower later, I'll do a cold shower then, or I had a cold shower this morning, I don't have to have a second one, or whatever it might be. You know, your brain just doesn't want the discomfort. So it's definitely a mental challenge every day, and then the physiological benefits are fantastic too. And then the third part I wanted to improve was my mindset. So I engaged a mindset coach, and I've been working with him for, I think, about 4 months now. I've worked with a couple in the past and had, you know, I think we've spoken about it before. I've had amazing success, and it's hard work, to be honest, bro. Like doing shit for your mindset, like it's all well and good to be like, I want to improve my mindset, but at the end of the day, like anything, you got to do the fucking work. And the mindset stuff is challenging. You know, fitness stuff is, you know, I've also signed up for a marathon at the end of the year, which I don't know why I did that, but I've done that. So I'm improving my my running ability at the moment. And like, you know, when you're slogging it out in health and fitness and like your lungs are burning and stuff, it's hard, but mindset stuff is just another level, you know, trying to work through limiting beliefs and different insecurities and challenges and stuff like that's the real hard work. So I've been going pretty hard at that for the last 4 months, and I've only got a couple of weeks left of sort of this stint that I'm doing with mindset. And then I'll take a little bit of, not a break from it, but just come back a bit closer to my comfort zone, because it becomes like when you're pushing so hard for so long outside your comfort zone, I feel like, for me at least, I need to take a breath. So I'll turn my attention back to my health and fitness. And
is there any examples of like the mindset that you feel like that's, and the work that you're doing, that's just, that you feel like it's like it can get really straining?
It's not just that it's straining, it's just that it's like it's time, it's attention, it's focus, and some are like, there's some deep work that gets done, and I don't want to talk to that because people don't want to know about my, childhood insecurities and all this sort of shit.
Okay, so goes, okay.
Yeah, like
Interesting.
real like digging down, like psychological sort of stuff that
Wow.
impacts your day-to-day mindset. But then other things are like, they're way more fun to talk about it, but they're just as challenging. Like last time we caught up, I had to dance in a cafe, a packed cafe, and play music from my phone in front of everyone, put it on the table and start dancing. Like, to have the confidence to do things like that.
Yeah.
Different conversations with people, be it like conversations with strangers to get you out of your comfort zone, or conversations with like your parents about, why things happened, how you felt. Like that's the real hard work. And I think our generation is starting to do that sort of stuff and break down like generational limiting beliefs that might have been passed down from our parents and our parents' parents. Like, we're starting to do the work, but it's fucking hard, to be honest. I'm enjoying it, and I'll keep doing it, but I definitely encourage it.
Is there been anything like wild that you've had to do? Like anything new, I don't know, just a funny story that we got, or was it?
Yeah, I mean, the dancing in a cafe one, that was a while ago. I did a compliment one where I had to approach a stranger and give them 3 random compliments, which you might be like, that's a little bit out of my comfort zone, but then the second part of that was ask them to give you 3 compliments. And I think I told you about this one, it was, that's something. I was in this cafe and I walked in and there was a brand new barista and I was like, oh, I'm doing this. So I gave her 3 compliments. I can't remember what they were. I told her, looks like she makes a great coffee. She's approachable and friendly, and I can't remember what the third one was, and she was like, oh, this guy's probably hitting on me, it's whatever. Yeah. And then I said, all right, it's now your turn to give me 3 compliments, and she was just like real taken aback. And I'm like, come on. And she started giving me compliments, and she told me I was well dressed and I smell good because I must have been caked in cologne or something like that. And the funniest part was when I was doing this, the owner of the cafe, she'd been out serving, she'd come back in and she just joined into it. She was just like, oh, it's just, we're giving Oscar compliments, so they'll tell me how handsome I was and stuff. But there's heaps of little experiences, but one that one of my mindset coaches did that I definitely don't have the courage to do at the moment was, he had shame around his body, and he was at a mindset retreat in front of 100 people, and to break down that barrier, he got up in front of 100 people and just got naked. He stood up on a chair in front of 100 people and just got like balls out naked. And I've told that story to a few mates, and I haven't found a mate who's like, oh yeah, I'd volunteer for that. So I think there's definitely levels to how far we can take the mindset, and it's something that I think definitely deserves some attention.
That's bloody wild, man. I've actually got one mate in my mind that I know that would just jump naked in front of everyone, but apart from that, no.
Yeah. I mean, my mate's like one of the boys. Like, we were in Mildura the other day swimming in the river, and and nobody there has any shame. But in front of 100 people, I think it's a little bit like 100 strangers.
It's pretty.
Yeah,
that's pretty wild. How are you going with social media? I know that.
You give me some feedback. How am I going?
No, I think you're doing very well.
Yeah.
I think you're jumping in front of the camera. Like I was when you were doing a G Up video, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I was watching that. I was like, he's running here. Like
probably sweating through my shirt.
Yeah, he's running here.
Yeah. I'm definitely I've turned it up a little bit, and something I want to do. I want to have bigger impact. A part of that is like putting myself out there more. I've definitely found or noticed some of the darker side of that. I don't know if I did a podcast late last year, and from that podcast came a couple of shorts. A few of them ended up on TikTok, and fuck man, TikTok audience, they're wild.
Yeah,
they are just savage. And
they're ruthless.
A couple of them have 500,000 views, so there's plenty of comments there, and they're ruthless, and that was something that I don't know. I'm a sensitive guy. I hate people, talking shit, and I hate being misunderstood. So that's something that I was working through. I'll continue to work through. But no, social media is a lot of fun. I think if you're doing it in the right way, you're putting good content out there, it's a lot of fun. There's always going to be idiots when they're hidden behind whether it's a fake account or they're just hidden behind a phone or whatever it may be. You're going to get idiots. You're going to get a lot of people that disagree with your point of view, which is completely fine. And some people want to voice that, which there's plenty to learn, and there's nothing wrong with being challenged. But yeah, I'm going to continue putting content out there and see what comes from it.
Yeah, I think it's TikTok, and especially, man, it's like a 20-second, 30-second clip. like they don't know you. It's out of, in a sense, it's supposed to, the hook's supposed to get them in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of insecurities with how they're feeling. Like for them to talk shit about you and say something. Oh, I saw something like they're funny. Like
Some of them are good. Some of them are gonna be like, well done.
Yeah,
not bad.
It's just like for them to like come out and people are insecure. Like I had this person, he was hammering me on Instagram. It was a couple of weeks ago. He was just hammering me on all my comments, and then he took it to inbox.
Send me his address or something. Yeah. No, that's a joke.
Well, it took it to inbox, and I just messaged him, and I wrote something very nice back to him. And then he responds the next morning saying, sorry, man, I was drunk. I shouldn't have done this. I apologize. He deleted all these comments.
Oh, good on him.
And but it was more of an aspect of like, they're just sad, like a lot of the time. And like, that's why it's just like, it can get a little bit tough sometimes because you're reading this, you're like, fuck, man. You're like trying to put yourself out there, like, you're trying to like provide value. Like you provide heaps of value. Like there's so many people that look up to you, that get inspired by you, that that just love what you do and love following you. So it's like,
I mean, and I've had a few people like that where they come in all guns blazing and like you're in a good mood, so you just either try and reshape their position or apologize. They feel that way, and I've had a few people change like that, and it's a real good feeling to think like you've brought somebody around. And then there's other people where you're just like, I'm not going to give it the time. I don't want to put my time into it. But I think there's plenty of good and plenty of not so good to come out of it, and I'll just keep putting it out there until either something sticks or I get sick of it.
Hopefully it just doesn't affect you because
you
can't lose Oscar
at
Ledlin.
the moment I'm really enjoying it. I don't like being misunderstood. That's the only thing. Like a couple of those TikToks, and like you say, they're 30 seconds, they're put together to hook people in, and 100 comments of people giving me shit is probably music to the author's ears because it's keeping the video trending and stuff. But some of them, I provide value, and that I do in a lot of public conversations like this one. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I try and be as authentic as I can. And then I see people jumping in like, oh, he's selling courses, buy my, and I'm like, well, I'm fucking not. Like I'm not. If I've got nothing wrong with selling it, I should be selling courses. That's what I should be fucking doing. You should have had to pay $99 to watch this clip, but I'm not doing that. Or oh, he's pushing drugs. Oh, he's funneling. It's just I'm just like. If you don't agree with my view, I'm so for that, and respectfully voice your opinion. But I just don't like being misunderstood. But I think that's part of what can happen. People view your content with their own lenses, and sometimes you get misunderstood. So it's encouraged me to be more authentic, to be honest. Like people misunderstanding me in short form content has made me being like, pick up the camera and start talking more. Like deliver more long format content. Tell people how things are affecting you. You talk, about the shit that's not going well, and just be more of yourself. Because like the more you are yourself, the less you can be misunderstood, and that's sort of what I want.
100%, man. Like Oscar, I appreciate you coming on today. I appreciate all the value, and always like it's always good to catch up. And
no, I appreciate you, man. I forget that the camera's here when we catch up. Like there's some podcasts, they ask amazing questions and the content's good and stuff like that, and you ask amazing questions. But I think because we're mates, like we just get on here and riff and have a lot of fun. So no, I appreciate it. We should do it more.
100%, man. Every time you got something new, I'm just gonna be like, Oscar, like what's going on here? Get bloody on. When you're doing Gold Coast or something, we can do it. So now, thank you, man.
Appreciate it.